Hello, my name's Denny. This is my plant-based journey, and today we're going to answer some questions that were asked either on Facebook or in the comments section here on YouTube. So let's get to it. I have been talking about some of the foods that I eat and how I carry food with me when I'm on the road. I spend most of my day in my pickup truck, and I work out in the country going from site to site, and as a result I need to eat on the road. The hard part is when you are on the road, you either eat at a restaurant or a truck stop or a gas station or a food truck, and most of the time those food choices are not healthy. In fact, most of the restaurants you'll find in the remote areas where I go are either burgers or something along those lines that are greasy, fatty, and are not plant-based, of course. And so how do I get over that issue? Well, I'm going to show you a couple of ways that I have been able to fight against that while I'm working in the field. The first one is I take food with me and I heat it up in the truck. Now there's various ways to do that. Certainly there's the old joke, we call it the West Texas microwave, and if you don't know what that is, you take your food, it's been wrapped up, and you put it on the dash, and in these 100+ degree heats inside a car with the expansion of heat inside the car and the sun rays going through the windshield, that dash gets very hot. And so that's an old joke. People say the West Texas microwave, and it's just using the sun's heat to heat up whatever food you brought with you. You can do that. That's not my preferred choice. There are types of warmers that look like an old-fashioned lunch pail, and you open it up and it has a plate in it that gets hot, and it puts the food, and it actually cooks the food, and it gets very hot. That is a danger that I don't want inside the truck because it is hot. If you've ever used those, you can actually cook something from raw to ready to eat. And so I try to avoid that type of cooking unit. But what I do use is Hot Logic warmers. Now I have two of them because I usually carry two different portions of my meal. I received this one with a starter packet that I bought from Plant Pure Nation and Plant Pure, their website. There's some good foods there. Some of them I was not the most favorite fan of, but there were some good foods there that you just put the tray in this. It has a hot plate. It's hooked up to a cable, and you would be able to just plug it in, and in a couple hours it'll be hot. Usually what I do is I plug this in when I get in the truck in the morning, or if I'm leaving early, which happens quite often, I will wait until, let's say, 9:30 and then plug it in. That way it's hot when I'm ready to eat lunch. But you know, what I do is I make my own meals and I put them in these warmers. So I have this one, and I have another one that I bought myself individually, apart from the Plant Pure pack. I bought this one earlier this year, well actually last year, right at the end of the year. It also is a Hot Logic Mini, that's the name of it. And you can get it on the Hot Logic website. Again, it has a hot plate on the inside, it has a power cord, and it plugs in to either a standard outlet, or you can get the ones that have the cigarette lighter adapter. Now what I have is in my pickup, I have an outlet in the front, I have an outlet in the back. I also have the cigarette lighter adapters, both in the front and the back. But I have a unit plugged into that adapter that has an expansion slot for USB, other cigarette lighters, and it also has a power cable. So in each one of the slots I could plug something in. Now I don't want to put that much energy in there, but I do that because I can put one of these in the floorboard of the front seat, the passenger seat. The floorboard will have, it has a rubber protector of the truck and the liner, and I set this on it and I plug it in, and in 2-3 hours it's hot. Could take as much as 4 if it's something that's been very cold, or even a frozen meal like the 4-hour frozen meal from Plant Pure. It will be hot by the time you're ready to eat. And then I plug one in the back and set it on the floor. But the reason I put in an expansion cable or an expansion unit is because I wanted to be able to not only cook my food, I wanted to be able to have an additional source of refrigeration. And I'll talk about that in just a minute. But I do want to mention how I put these foods inside the warmers. And the way I do that is I have these trays. Now I will tell you that next time I buy trays, I'm not going to get the separate compartment one. What I've found is I'm just taking one thing or 2 separate things, and that I'm not taking 3 or 4 items where I need the separate compartments. And so actually what I end up doing is spreading out whatever I'm taking with me into these 2 containers. But this will seal up. I put my food in there. For instance, yesterday in one container I took pinto beans, and in one container I took a mixture of brown rice and couscous. And they heated up separately. I waited to plug in the rice and couscous until the last probably an hour and a half before I was ready to eat. I've learned from experience, if you put that rice in there at the start of the day, it's going to be hard and dried out and clumpy, and you don't want that. So all you do is you set this container inside on the hot plate, zip it up, and plug it in. It's all automatic. It won't get too hot, it won't overcook, it won't melt the container. Now if you're on rough roads or something along those lines and you overfill, you can have the juices come out, and it will start to have condensation if you have a lot of fluid in there. But this works very good, it's simple to use, and the reason I got the one that I did is because I can also take it to my office when I'm working, and I can plug it in at the office and it will be hot when I'm ready to eat lunch. So it works whether I'm in my vehicle or I'm in the office, or if I go somewhere that I'm visiting. I could even use an inverter in someone else's car. So there's lots of opportunities there. It works really well, it's super easy, and it allows me to take my food with me. What I did is I went on Amazon, and I use Amazon a lot because of the simplicity, and I don't have to hunt and shop. And in the Permian Basin, up until this recent crisis, anytime you went to any store, you stood in line, there was just masses of people, everything's overcrowded, and so it was always difficult. So I would just buy on Amazon and get it delivered to my door in a couple of days. But I bought this particular one. It's from Green Direct. These are made from recycled containers, recycled plastics, but this one is the microwave safe 2-compartment food container with lids and a bento box lunch tray cover, and it comes in a 10-pack, and I have purchased a couple of these and I reuse them as often as I can. And so I bought them. They're like I said, they're green. They're also microwave safe, so they won't melt, and it allows me to use them over and over and over until that lid won't stay fastened. And so that's how I use the warmer tray. And the 2 that I have are Hot Logic Minis. They make them in many different sizes. You can even get the glass trays that have the lid that snaps on top, like a casserole dish. They have all of those kinds of things available if that's what you want to use. I just use this for convenience, and I don't want to carry around glass trays in my truck bouncing up and down dirt roads, lease roads, and difficult areas. So that's how I keep things hot. So let's talk about how we keep things cold. Of course, the number one thing I want to keep cold is drinks, water. I got to carry water with me. I usually carry iced tea. We make I kept some 2-quart containers that I throw a couple of cold brew tea bags in with cold water, and carry that in there, and I'll drink that when I'm having my meals. I'm an unsweet tea fan. And so it's water, an unsweet tea, and then I usually carry a few cans, 3 or 4, usually 3 cans, maybe 2. It's one of the 2 or 3 of sparkling water. And I like to have those after the meal, and then usually on my way home in the evenings after I've finished my work. And so I'll have a couple of those. Passion fruit from LaCroix is the one that I drink, and I've tried a lot of others. I love the Topo Chico, especially the grapefruit, but I most often buy the 12 packs of the passion fruit, and so that's what I'll put in there. But I also have the opportunity to put in salads, or let's say carrots and celery, broccoli, cherry tomatoes, things like that, to eat with hummus, and I can keep all that cold and I carry it with me. Now what I've done, and there are more expensive models, there are cheaper models, and there are ones that are more permanent, and there are ones that are smaller, there are ones that are bigger, but I just picked one that was economical, that would work for what I'm doing, and would be easy to maintain. And so what I bought, and I've had this for a few years now, is an Igloo cooler. So on the back, here on the tag, it's described as a recreational vehicle refrigerator. Now certainly my pickup is not a recreational vehicle, but the model is the iceless version, and they have it in several versions. They have a 26 quart, a 28 quart, they have bigger ones. You know, you can buy these things up to the size of the back end of your pickup bed, or you can get them a little smaller than this one. The reason I went with a 28 quart is because I got this on sale. It was cheaper than the 26 by quite a ways, and I picked it up on Amazon also. It has fans here on top. It has a warning sign saying don't block the vents. It has some warnings here on the front. I didn't peel off any of the stickers. It just says that it's best if you keep the items that you're going to refrigerate cold before you put them in here. And what that is a guide to how to make this thing work better. Now I love mine, and I told some other people about it, and they bought one, and one of them came back and told me theirs doesn't work. And I said, well, what are you doing? And basically they were just leaving it in the vehicle, and then when they got in the morning, they plugged it in and turned it on, and they just left the water or whatever was in it. Yes, of course, that's going to take forever to cool down, and that's not going to work. What I do is I bring it inside every night and I empty it. I only carry enough stuff for that day, or if I'm going to be gone for a couple of days, for a couple of days, and that's it. I don't carry a lot of other things in it. And so this is a 28 quart. It refrigerates this unit to 40 degrees below ambient temperature. So if you're inside a truck and it's 150 degrees, it's only going to be 110 degrees. It's not going to get cold. But my truck is running all the time, and so it stays cooler than the inside of that cab. So let's say the cab is 70 degrees. This will, in theory, get down to 30. Now, I've had it form ice crystals in drinks a couple of times, but that's because I also carry out another little trick. So everything's cold when I put it in there. I pull it out of the refrigerator and put it in this in the morning. And then I make sure I have plenty of space for air. I don't just put in a 12 pack or throw in a whole case of water and block it up. What I do is when I get Topo Chico, I get the 4-bottle pack, and I'll drink those, and I save this container. This one's from the mineral water, the other one's from the grapefruit. But these containers are reusable, and so instead of just throw them away, what I do is I save them. I threw away 2 today that were worn out from riding in the pickup inside this cooler. And what I'll do is I'll put in 3 bottles of water or 3 cans of the passion fruit LaCroix, and then in one container, in one of these slots, I will put a frozen water bottle. And so I put a frozen water bottle in the one with the water. I'll put a frozen bottle in the one with the passion fruit, and then I'll put the tea tea, the 2-quart tea container, between the two. And so I have plenty of air in the container. I have 2 frozen bottles, and I have my drinks for the day. There's still room that if I stopped by the store and I bought some bananas or apples or whatever I wanted to buy that was refrigerated, I could throw it in there. There's room for me to carry a salad or hummus or whatever vegetables I want or whatever snack I might take. I can put these in the container. There's plenty of room for that. So I have air, I have ice without it being wet, and I have my drinks, I have my cold snack. It's the Igloo 28 quart, and it has 2 power options. Now it doesn't have batteries, so it's not going to stay running when you turn off the truck. But what I do is I get out and I put my wheel chocks in. That way my truck cannot roll. My emergency brake is on. I turn on the power, and this stays cool while I'm working on that location. And so in this, I have 2 power sources. It has a cable that allows me to plug in to the cigarette adapter. You can also buy it with a standard household 2-prong adapter, just like this. But I don't use that one. I don't have a need for it unless I'm having an overnight stay and I'm going to be putting this in a hotel room. Nowadays, though, most hotel rooms have little refrigerators, so I do the same thing at a hotel that I do in my home, and that is I empty the container, I clean it out, I put everything in the refrigerator, it's cold, and I try to put the 2 frozen ones in the ice compartment. And I know it won't stay frozen. Those aren't very good at actually freezing. Mostly they just generate a greater cooling effect for the unit itself. So that is what I do, plain and simple. I can keep hot food hot, or I can get it hot, and I can have cold food. That's how I carry food and drink with me when I'm on the road. I hope this answered your questions. If you have more questions, let me know. How do you carry your food? How do you carry your drinks with you when you go to work? I hope you have a great weekend. If I can help you in any way, you let me know. My name is Denny. This is my plant-based journey, and no matter where we go, we can take our food and drink with us. Have a great weekend.